let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, today we are going to be making the Simplistic Slouch by Rosa patterns. I absolutely love the way this turned out. I think it's so cute. The only thing I changed from the pattern is the welt pocket addition. I thought that the zipper pocket, just being a plain old zipper pocket on the exterior, wasn't as classy as this bag needed. So I changed it up a little bit. The hardware is available at mormino.com. This material is coming later rather than sooner, but it'll be on our website eventually, and I can't wait to make it with you. So we're going to get started by cutting out our zipper tape. The pattern lists the different sizes that you're going to need, and for my zipper on top, I like to cut a couple extra inches, and for the others, you can cut to the exact size you need. I actually don't need the 8-inch zipper for the way I am going to be making this bag, because instead of that exterior zippered pocket, I am going to be making it into a welt pocket. I just thought I would like the look of that a little bit more. I just want to play around and see what that looks like. Okay, for the zipper pulls, I am just going to be using the standard pop tab that I carry on my website. And I'm going to go ahead and install those pulls. I am using the zipper jig that I designed a few years ago that I no longer carry, nor will I ever carry them again. But you could also use your hands. You could use a hole punch, not a hole punch, a fork, or a 3D printed zipper jig that's out there. Okay. So I just like to have those prepped and ready to go. And then we've got all the hardware that we need. And so I'm just kind of scrolling through. There's a bunch of prep, there's a bit of prep work, I should say. And so we've got our base finished, but what I really enjoyed doing, kind of again a callback to the Adina, is I did, well, she has you do a 3/4 inch stitch line around the entire thing. And I just think it gives it such a professional look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that around the base of this as well. If you can hear that noise, that's my daughter breathing. Okay, so I'm just connecting that curve between the lines. And I'm using a silver marking pen, so it'll just wipe right off. I've got my stitch length set to about 4.5, and my thread tails are nice and long. Make sure that's down. And I'll still add purse feet, etc., but I just think this is kind of a fun little addition to the bottom. So we're going to pull our threads to the back and tie that off. Oops. There we go. And then you want to make sure that you're tying the correct ones together, or your tension could look a little off. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my iron really quick so that we can make the markings on the exterior, and then attach our little Decaville light interfacing. So we'll grab our main exterior pieces. I've got this little cart right by my sewing machine so that I can move things out of the way as needed. Alrighty. All right. And we're just following the pattern for those measurements, and then we're going to scale between those two. Within that pattern piece. And this is how we're going to be folding the bag kind of together later on. All right, so now we're going to draw a little bit smaller of a line. And then again, we're going to slowly increase that down here. And you'll grade that as well. Just to kind of connect that. Okay, along the outer edge of the main panel, we're then going to make a line . And then we're going to dig in our bin of pieces to find our stabilizer bits. And that is going to get attached following the shape of that curve up against that line. So I'm just kind of zooming in to make sure I've got it in the right spot. So this will go to this one, and this one will go on this side. So I can take this over to my iron and just give that a little tiny press. Luckily, Decaville light fuses quickly. Okay. So then we just repeat those on the other side. And this is a step you can do when you are cutting out the bag, and it'll go even faster when you get to the sewing machine. So like I said, we're just going to be repeating those steps here. Dorothy. All right, so then we'll get these pieces fused on. And again, you want the curve to be going inward. So the straight edge follows the straight edge of the side, and the curve, the little diagonal piece, is the inside mark. We'll finish tracing that graded line. That's going to help us create the top of the bag later on. And then if you're done with your iron, make sure you turn it off. All right, we've got that prep work out of the way. So now we can get started with adding the purse feet to the base of the bag. So measure from the short edge and up from the long edge. So what I'm gonna do is just make a line this way. Oh, I guess I could just measure that. And then this. And then finding my center again. I sell purse feet in packs of 5, so I'm just going to use 5, but you could absolutely use a total of 6. And just buy another pack if you wanted to purchase from me. I'm going to use a scrap or 2 of foam. The purse feet, that screw on that I'm using, have a screw that's a little bit too long. I do carry these on my website, and we had gotten some feedback that the screws were too short, and now I fear the screws are a little too long. But I would rather that than too short, because you can always use extra stabilizer or fabric to kind of offset that. So I'm going to use my hole punch to punch out the holes I'm needing to punch out. I used my cam press hole punch to get the one that I can't reach in the middle with a hole punch, and then I'll use this for the rest. And then I'm going to need to fold my foam in half. So I'll just fold that in half. Wait till I hear a click. And that should help. Really don't need much to go underneath it. Like this piece is probably too big, but it'll be fine. Oops. 1, 2, 3. 4. I swear I had 5. Guess I don't. Hey, that's why we don't throw away any scraps, right? We can use them up. Alrighty. And then these should have a little bit of paste film that you can leave on there. If you sell your bags for a living, you could leave those on, or you could try to reattach it. I think you would just need a little tiny bit of water to help it cling to the metal again. Yeah, then it can look like brand new store-bought bag. Okay. So I'm going to put my screw through the foam, through the bottom of the bag, and then I'll get this started. I'm going to counter turn it just a little bit so it starts straight, and then just leave it like that. Take my clip out, and then I'm going to use my screwdriver to get it nice and tight. Hold on the other side. Yeah. Oh, perfect. The 2 layers of foam is perfect. And then you could cut away the excess foam around your screw if you really wanted as well. So I've got that. You could add a little bit of Loctite.
Look what I found, Mom. It's Ninja Turtles Christmas.
That's so random. Okay. So through the foam. And the amount of foam that you need to counteract the thickness of the screw is going to matter based on your materials. So you may not need 2 layers, but foam does compress, so there's that. All right. So yeah, I mean, like I said, you could cut away the excess if you really wanted to. I don't know that I care to. I don't know that it matters, but yeah. All right, so there's the base complete. Got all those purse feet added, so now we can work on our double strap handles. I've already marked these and taped them, so all I'll need to do is fold and sew, and these are going to become 2 1/2-inch straps. I like to start from the center and work my way out so that we can prevent pulling and stretching. Okay, and then we're going to sew this along all 4 sides. I think. Oh, oh. My feet were a little loose. Ooh, that's so fun. Oh, crud. All right. So then we can put that folded edge next to each other, and I'm gonna just do a quick basting of these together. I just find it helps me hold them when I put the screw end on. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then I also feel like if there's any inconsistencies in the way I've cut it, like the length isn't quite the same, I can give it a little trim so that it'll sit better. And then we'll grab 2 of our strap ends, as well as 4 of our screws. And I like to make sure that I have a magnet close by to keep my screws on. And then I'm also going to need my snap hooks so that depending on what snap hooks you use, your strap ends may not fit through the snap hook after you've attached it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and decide which is the top and put my snap hooks through that for now, and I'll flip it over so that I'm dealing with the wrong end. Take off that paste film. Again, you can keep that paste film and reattach it to give it a nice look for selling. And you want to see the wrong side of your strap end, which has like the texture and where the screws are going to go. And I'm just going to take 1 screw at a time. Put that on my screwdriver. side. Paste film off. Holding it on with one hand, grabbing my screw with the other. Okay. So there is that complete. Well, we're gonna have to rivet, but I will add rivets on a little later. I think for right now, I'm just going to clip this together. And there is our handle complete. And now we're gonna work on the other fun part of this bag, which is those little zipper ends. So we're gonna grab 4 of our zipper ends out of the 5. And you wanna make sure that these are the 10mm. I carry 2 sizes, but most shops only carry the 10mm, not the 13, so just be mindful of that. And we've already made a mark of where to fold this up. So we'll leave that like that, and then we're going to fold that over to create a slim trifold. And we're only top stitching on that side. And you don't want that raw end to fully meet the edge. You want it kind of offset by a hair so that it's not glaringly obvious that it even exists. And then you just want that one stitch line. And then you're going to add strap ends to each piece. Me?
Listen to this.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Okay.
Can I put it back on?
Are you enjoying it? Hey, 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 I said no walking around without the case on. Are you feeling better? All right, we'll just repeat that on the other zipper tassel. And this is a fun little technique you could use on any zipper tassel zipper that you like. It's just really cute. You could even just make them with a bunch of scraps one day. And I feel like if you didn't want to purchase zipper ends, something you could possibly do is just cut a piece of fabric and maybe use a tiny rivet. Or leave it as is or edge coat it or something so that you wouldn't have to purchase hardware if you didn't want to. So I need just 4 of these right now. Yep. I'm trying to think, did I make this hardware kit? Hey Siri, remind me later tomorrow to create a simplistic slouch kit. Okay. If we don't already have kits, we do now. All right, so you just slide your fabric into the zipper end and add your screw. If you want to add glue to that, you can. I think that fits perfectly. It's not going to be an issue. And then again, that paste film can come off or stay on. Just think it's so cute. Like it's got its tap shoes on. And the back side, you should see that raw edge. And again, it's just a hair underneath. All right, there is that complete. All right, so now we're gonna move on to creating our side zippered pockets. So we're gonna need those side zipper pocket pieces and the side zipper pocket facings. And we can move the other off. And we're also gonna need those two 9-inch zippers with zipper pulls. Okay. Wait. Oh, okay, it wants me to do the zipper pocket first. But I'm not doing a zipper pocket, so I'm gonna wait on that. Yeah, here we go. We'll add our facings, and then we'll add those linings to the zippers. Okay, so these are gonna go right sides together. So the wrong side of your lining should be face up. And we're gonna sew that on with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. If you need to trace that out, you absolutely can. If you do not do a fairly accurate 3/8 inch seam allowance, you're not going to have enough room for your zipper tape within the seam, because you have to remember this is a seam of the bag. So you have to be pretty precise here or things are not going to work out for you, my friend. And make sure you're back stitching or at least tying your threads off so things don't come undone. This vinyl is just so fun. All right, and now we're going to snip quite a bit into those seams. I'm actually going to kind of do little teeth, monster teeth cut out. Just don't get way too close to your stitching. And so taking those little bites out of the fabric are going to help with bulk when you're sewing over that seam. Okay. So now we're going to need a little bit of double-sided tape to help us with this. We want everything to sit nicely, so we're going to turn this to the back side. I think it kind of helps to pre-crease that seam instead of trying to hurry up and turn it. And one of my pet peeves is lining peeking out to the exterior when you really don't want it to. So I'm kind of over turning it by just a teensy tiny, teeny tiny bit. Not by a lot. And then we'll use tape to help us hold that over there. Just makes it that much easier. And then again, we'll add some tape.
What?
What?
Baby turtles hatched.
Aww.
Because people were trying to steal the turtles and turtle eggs as food.
What?
Yes.
Would you eat a turtle egg?
No.
Me either.
Or a turtle?
No.
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 Either you?
No.
No.
All right, and now we're going to attach our zipper to the right side. And we're going to attach them to opposite sides. So right sides are facing up. We're going to put a zipper on this side. And we're going to put a zipper on this side. Yeah. Up, up. Zipper pull going up. It's going up, up, up.
There's a dog's.
I don't know if she's going to finish that sentence. With our zipper up. So this one is going to go on this side, and that one goes on that side. We're going to start with one for now, centering and lining up that edge. And we should be able to take our clips out because we've got that facing taped over to the side, which is a big help, keeping everything straight. I have this very wrong. Hold, please. Okay. I knew I stitched something twice. So what I like to do is just give this a quick stitch to help me hold it flat, but you can also try to iron it or tape it. I knew I stitched it twice. Okay. Alrighty. Now, zipper pull, zipping up. And then we'll lay that in place. There we go. Now it looks normal. Lining that up with the edge here. And this is a little similar if you've made the Regina Phalange, like it's a very similar-ish concept with that zipper pocket on the side. So we're going to top stitch that down. Slowly following that curve, not getting too close to the zipper. Making sure the zipper stays consistent until it meets the curve. And then you'll sew over top of the teeth. I'm using a plastic or nylon zipper, so sewing over the teeth is not going to mess with my machine. Make sure that zips up. And now we're gonna fold this over to meet the other side. And then we close the zipper. And you've got one edge that's folded, so we don't need to worry about that. And then you'll baste at like 1/8 of an inch over here. You want to keep things together, but you don't want to in any way, shape, or form accidentally see your stitches later on. And then you don't necessarily want it in your seam allowance, but I am not worried about it on my machine. So I'm going to baste it down. Okay. Perfect. Now that we've got it correct, we can repeat that on this side. The wrong side should be facing up. Your zipper pull towards the top. We're going to center that within the facing. She's like snoring almost, but not. It's just extremely relaxed breathing. Okay. So I'm just double checking my spacing before I go to sew this down. Making sure the edge of my zipper tape lines up.
If you need anything, just ask me because I'm right here.
All right, thank you.
What's your tablet?
Okay.
I'm watching ABC Mouse.
Oh, cool.
Playing ABC.
Oh, good. If you need to readjust your zipper, just make sure that your needle is in the down position so you don't lose a stitch or anything.
Yes.
Okay. So then we'll flip this over. And you need to close that zipper pocket before you baste the other side. So lay that flat and give a little crease to that fold. And then remember that seam allowance is 3/8 to attach the bottom, sides, etc. So just be mindful of that. And then I think I want my nameplate on this side, and I think I'm gonna add a rainbow one just because like this is literal iridescent colors. So I think it'll blend nicely. Like normally you don't want to mix metals in that way, but I think this is not a big deal. Alrighty, how far up? She used 3 1/4 up, so I will do that as well. She has hers kind of off to the side. I'm just gonna do it in the center.
Look, Mom, I'm doing a puzzle. Look.
Nice.
I'm doing a puzzle.
That looks fun. And then just be careful when you make these puncture holes that you aren't going through your lining, but I am not going to. Okay, great. Okay, I see one, but I don't see the other at all. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Disappeared in the light. All right, one thing I did the other day that was ridiculous how satisfying it was I backed my nameplate with foam. And I was like, oh, because you can't see it because it isn't fused, but it gave this little bit of puff underneath the nameplate that felt really nice. So until I forget to do it, I'm gonna keep doing it. So I just kind of marked out where those holes need to be and snipped them. And put on my backing. And like, it just gives it this fun little like 3D effect, and I'm like, why have I never done that before? It's just wild. Like, excuse you? All right, so this is a drop-in lining, and so I'm gonna go ahead and prep by adding double-sided tape along the bottom curved line, because that is where we're going to be taping toward. So I'm just gonna keep that there, and then we're gonna be adding snips along this, but no further than.
I'm almost done, Mom.
Nice. Nice job. The line that is drawn out, or you're gonna see the snips, and that's not good. And depending on how stretchy your material is or isn't, you may need to add a couple more snips just to give your material a little more give. Okay.
Look.
You did it! Good job. You're doing it too. Good job. All right. So now we're going to play around with the idea of this welt pocket. I've got my lining and my facing, and then I've got these two random pieces of my exterior fabric. If you would rather follow the pattern as is instructed, be my guest. Nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, nice. Is that another puzzle you get to do? And I may decide to not have two pieces of this vinyl. Hi, Ben. But for right now, that is my plan. These were scraps, so if it doesn't work out, I am unbothered. They're way longer than I need them to be as well. So we've got those folded in half and taped. You could glue if you preferred, but I am not going to. Oh, cute. Cute. Nice. Wow, that was fast. Okay.
That was so fast.
So I am going to add a piece of tape. I did similar markings to the pattern's instructions, and my tape is in the box that I'm going to end up cutting out. And I want this to be about 5 inches down from the top. That is the distance. Well, let's do 4 3/4. That feels right. So I'm centering that there. Yeah, that'll be good. So I'm gonna make my stitch length a little bit smaller. And I'm gonna do 2 parallel lines. And making sure those are exactly lined up. Since I backstitched, I'm not worried about tying off my threads. And then just like any zipper pocket, we're going to cut the center open, and then on the sides we're going to make a little V-shape triangle right up against where our threads are. And if you have the Pisces add-on pack, you could also do the welt pocket option that has, or like that hidden zipper. Again, I just felt like this bag was too classy for just like a zipper pocket on the outside. It works, there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm like, why settle? Not gonna settle. There are more professional ways of making a welt pocket, just FYI. Like, you could do it with one fully folded piece of fabric that kind of like peeks out. Just FYI. I am going to use that double-sided tape trick to hold things out of the way. Once I've got it where I want it. Especially on the corners. And if your corners aren't sitting just right, you're going to need to snip in a little bit more. Okay, making sure that vinyl sticks. All right, so I'm just taking a look at this side. And then I'm gonna decide, do I just want one little piece, one little lip, or do I want it to be two sections?
I'm doing a big puzzle.
Ooh, nice. Wow. Okay, I want these lined up like perfectly. So I'm gonna clip it way off to the side, like that.
Oopsie, the Freddy bread.
Oh. Okay. Oh yeah. I just don't want to see any of the lining. And this is where like that zipper pocket overlay might be a better option, an easier option for like a really nice professional look. Okay. I think that is like exactly where I want it to be. And there is still room for me to attach the lining to the facing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna top stitch this down and around. Okay, yep. Leaving my thread tails long. Come on. I'm just trying to get the last layer over the teeth. There we go. Line that back up. Okay, no going back now. Longer stitch length. And we could have top stitched the edges of that flap, but I don't want that look. I almost want it to look like it's just part of it. Also want to be very clear, I understand this is not how a traditional welt pocket is created. Okay. And I'm going to be cutting off any excess material. But right now I want to pull my threads to the back so that I've got a nice clean look on the outside. Did I restart both cameras? Yeah, okay. Just checking. Okay, so then I'm gonna sew this way. Oof. This to this piece. And this is going to go to this piece. And then we're going to close that pocket up. Trim off the excess here. We don't need any pocket to turn the bag through or anything like that. So it's a little different than one might think it should look, but I think it'll look nice in the end. I'm going to just trim a little bit of excess there and on the other side. I just think it's a little cleaner looking, then you don't see that big zipper. But I do think next time I make one, I'll do a zipper pocket overlay, because I think that'll just give it the most elegant look, but probably a cleaner welt pocket would also do just fine. All right, we're gonna make those snips in the curve just to give it a head start. And now we can sew our exterior pieces right sides together. lining up the top edge. I'm going to use some clips where I'm not sewing just to help me keep things tidy. Oh, did I never baste that down? You might think like that's a step you can skip, but it really shouldn't be one that you skip. It's just like a liability to keep it unbasted. So we'll clip it this way. All right, and then it is a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And just go really slow at the zipper. When you get to a point where you're close to it, you can unzip slightly. Make sure your layers are sitting flat. And then continue on. And backstitch at the end. And then repeat on the other side. And then I started the other side by unzipping, but I'm still pressing that seam with my finger to make sure things are nice and straight. Finishing that off. So now we're going to attach our bottom panel. Just kind of separating the base there. Gonna find the center first, and I'm just gonna do a quick baste to keep my center from shifting. Just at 1/8 of an inch. And not even the whole way, just a couple inches. And then I'll do that on the other side as well. All right, now we're going to find the side center mark, line that up, and we're going to get our stapler out because you definitely want to add some staples to this curved portion. Find that center. And then we're going to push that down into the bag. And what's cool is like really the exterior has the most going on for the bag. So the lining is going to be really fast to make. I'm not even sure if I need staples because everything is so sturdy. We'll see how it goes. Go ahead and adjust your stitch length down a little bit. And it's just 3/8 an inch on the bottom edge. I was just checking, make sure my bobbin didn't betray me.
Look what he's doing. To a game. It's a game pack, but it's playing around. He's drawing on a game pack.
That's cool.
I'm still pretty sick.
And then if you feel like you want to, you could go around that bottom seam one more time to help reinforce it, and then trim the excess. Alrighty. So now we're gonna fold down the edge here, working from the center out, adding more snips where you feel like you need to. And then you'll feel the strength that's added by that stabilizer, because that's going to become your strap connector in the end. And you flatten that side seam open. Guess I should finish this side, huh? I had almost thought about adding a recessed zipper panel to this bag. I just feel like it has such a large size to it that the zipper panel would really help give extra space. But then I realized that the zipper panel is what kind of helps aid in the slouch of the bag. So by adding that extra fabric to it, it kind of defeats one of the main components of the bag's name. So I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying it's something maybe you could do if you wanted. Okay, so we're gonna give a little snip right there. I am not concerned with trimming my excess seam allowance. I don't think it's intrusive enough, but we can go ahead and turn this since it's a drop-in and just kind of check out the entire bag as it currently stands. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. All right. So here is that zipper pocket. Nicely seated. Here's that welt pocket. I love that. Not part of the pattern, just something I decided to change. And then you can really see like the nice slouch it's got. And there's the really sturdy bottom panel. Feels really good. And so now I'll just kind of clip this shut for the time being, and we will work on our lining. So there really isn't a whole lot left to finish off this bag, just quick little lining. We are going to square off the end of our zipper here. You could do that by sewing or melting it with a lighter on the ends just a little bit. I like to just make sure that I trim straight and then get that melted. Just avoid your fingers if you can. Perfect. Okay. So I'll leave that like that for now. We're going to work on our slip pocket. And so instead of right sides together, I decided to add a little trim piece instead. So we're going to put wrong sides together. I'm going to quickly baste that together so it doesn't pop open. And then we'll add our trim piece. I just cut this to 1 inch by however long my scrap was. Line that up, and then I'm going to add a little woven label there. Just gonna do, where did it go? Oh, my little L signature. And then sew that down. Cool. So then we're going to grab one of our lining pieces, and the top is angled, so keep that in mind. And then we'll line this up, and she has you do some lines, some measurements, not some lines. So I'm just going to add teeny little marks for where those need to go. Okay, it says from the top. I did not do that last time. Okay. And then we'll go over from that. That way the lining has a couple of different pockets. So we'll sew those on. And something I like to do is 2 lines of stitching, which technically makes your pockets a little bit slimmer, but I don't mind because now they're just really reinforced and we get to use our pretty thread in the lining. So win-win, I think so. So for this one, I'm gonna follow that line and then I'm gonna pivot in the opposite direction, making the center pocket a little bit smaller. And then I'll repeat that on the other side so that we don't lose depth for that measured pocket. And then you could add rivets to the top of that if you wanted. But I don't think it's that serious. We've got them reinforced and that's all I really care about. And then we'll sew all the way around just to help hold that together. We can increase cute. Now if you wanted to, you could do that to both sides of the bag. I don't see that being an issue, honestly, but technically it's done and we're gonna measure 2 measurements. I'm not gonna say them out loud. I was trying to avoid dropping that. Okay, so we'll baste this in place, zipper face up. And just pivot that zipper out of the way. Hey Dorothy, Daddy's home. Okay, we're gonna center our upper lining. And that's going to get attached at 3/8 of an inch. And then we are going to sew that face up. So we should see the wrong side of the zipper tape, and we're going to stitch through the lining with our seam allowance down, and that'll just help keep that zipper perked up. All right, that should be bobbin. Yep, there it was. Right? No? No, not yet? Okay. You say so. Watch out, he spits. Oh, God. God, I know you were home, but it still scared me. Okay. So I'll go ahead and baste the center. So now, on the other lining side, you're doing the opposite measurements. But what we can do is lay these together, and you'll know that it's the same measurement on this side and the same measurement for this side, if that helps you kind of visualize it better. And she has you just take your zipper apart, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I'm worried something won't be as precise as it needs to be because it's me, you know, come on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip this here. In place. Making sure that's lined up with where I need it to be. And then I'll baste it. And you could use double-sided tape to help you if you wanted to, but we're just gonna hold everything. I know, easier said than done. Where it needs to go. Get it in place. We'll grab the other lining top, line up the center. And I don't think I need to take this apart. I think I'll be okay. I'll just need to make sure that I taper the zipper out of the way where needed. 3/8 and go. We're getting to where the zipper pull is, so I'm leaving my needle down, unzipping, and finishing off. Ah, now the bobbin got me. So I'm gonna leave my thread long because it didn't get to finish. I'm like 2 stitches short. All right, make sure my bobbin thread isn't nested. When I create a bobbin, I pull on the thread to nest it so that it doesn't come undone. And you want to make sure that you undo that before you put it in your bobbin holder. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time. So I'm pulling my thread up to the top and I'm back stitching and finishing that off. Good to go. Now, flipping this over, we're gonna press that seam nice and flat and top stitch through the seam allowance and the lining on the lining side. All right, and now we have some marks to make on this side of the bag. Oh, it's the same one as the other side. Great. I can do that. thought maybe she was asleep. All right. So we're going to add those snips to the curve around the top. Only within that first line of marks. And the amount of little snips you need is going to depend on your materials, how stretchy they are. We'll add that line of double-sided tape. And then we still need to sew our side seams and attach the bottom. Well, after we do the marks on this side. When did I do that? Oh, I started it and then I flipped it. Okay. I'm fine. This is fine. Oh my gosh, Lauren, why don't you create content anymore? Because I'm losing my mind. We're going to have rivets to add, another strap end or two. Really it's two, it's not or, it really is two. And we've cut our lining base from a completely separate piece, so we aren't going to need to worry about a different seam allowance, anything like that. We can just stick to our 3/8 when we're putting together this lining. Back stitch, and then follow that curve of the bag. And I'm snipping into the seam allowance because we're going to need to split it open. Again, I am not worried about trimming down any of my excess. I don't think it's going to harm me in the end. I'm just snipping to help it sit flat. Basting the other side center of the bag. And then we're going to sew that in the round in a moment. So I've got that basted so it's not going to move. Find our center and clip. 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm going to go ahead and bump my stitch length down a little bit. And then I'm just going slow, pivoting. We can unzip this a little bit to help us keep that bag lining in the round. And then again, if you would like to, you could sew around the bottom a second time just to help reinforce. But we're going to trim the excess down. And then we'll go ahead and press our seam down. She really should be asleep, Dorothy, but she is my child and she likes to be awake at night. Oh, I didn't snip any of this. Just folding that over to meet the drawn line. And now we're going to put this inside the exterior. I'm putting a couple pieces of double-sided tape down just along this main stretch so that we can tape it together, and then that'll make that so much easier. I'm going to add, you can add your zipper end now if you really wanted to. I like to wait until the end, so I'm just going to glitter clip. And when I say the end, I mean maybe never. Or 2 minutes before I sell it. Oh gosh, the structure. Oh. Renew canvas, baby. It's just so good. So I want the slip pocket situation to go on the back. side so that it, well, no, I want it this way. No. No, the other way. Okay. Slip pocket for me is on the back side. All right, and then we're gonna line up the center. I'm gonna peel off that tape, and that's just gonna help keep everything together when we go to sew it in a little bit. Come on, there we go. So I've got my center. I'm lining up the top edge. That tape is repositionable, so if things are not quite right, we can always shift it, but I think we're good. Do the other side. There we go. I've got my center snip. My center line. Good. And you want those to just be right at the same height. If you used a different color vinyl for that top part, you may want to consider having it in slightly, but I think we'll be okay. And then got some retaping down to do. I'm lining up the center seam, and these are not going to match up at the very top edge. They don't fit together. That's okay, that's what we want. It's reducing bulk when we go to add our strap end and we fold this down. It hides all of that, so not a problem. And so if you've made the Adina, this is where it kind of feels very similar, but again, no way the same. Like, these designers are not competing for a certain style of bag. You know, it's a whisper of a similar silhouette, and that's about where the similarities end. Pressing open that side seam so things fit together just right. Yeah, nice. She changed the pattern piece from the original test, and it fits perfectly this time. So that's awesome. All right, so now I just kind of want to get a feel for what the bag's going to look like in the end. So we're going to zip it shut. It's got that top zipper. We're going to add some O-rings. We're going to stitch, rivet that down. Upstairs. You like the bag? You like it? Dorothy? You like the bag? She doesn't care. Oh my gosh, it's 11:30. Okay, so we're gonna top stitch this. Yeah, looks really nice. Tuck that zipper down. We're gonna unzip it. Yeah, I feel like a zipper panel just wouldn't be quite right on the bag. It's just something that you've got to get used to with it. So we're going to start here. I am top stitching with the lining side up. It's just going to be easier. I don't think it's going to be an issue for me. Everything's lined up. I feel good about it. Stitch length's at 4.5, so that is not a problem. And we're going to start up here. Okay, we're coming towards the top. So we're going to continue that top stitch just through the one-ish layer slash piece. Top stitch over that open side seam and then jump back to that single exterior piece, pressing our pieces together, and now we're back on the lining top as well. And just keeping an eye that our exterior and our lining stay lined up. And if they're not, we're going to look to see where they're not and just kind of compensate that back. Luckily, this vinyl is so busy that if my top stitch is a little wonky, you're not going to see it. Okay. So now what we've got left to add is hardware. We've got rivets to add, a zipper end to add. So let's start with our zipper end, just because we're here. I don't think I need to trim it down much, so I'm not going to. Always keep your screw on a magnet if possible. And I'm gonna shimmy. There was an extra screw. We'll hold on to that. I'm gonna shimmy my zipper tape end on. Kind of have to fold your tape down quite a bit to make it just the width of the... Your belly hurts. Dorothy, you have eaten like barely anything. Could you try your toast? All right. There's too many things in my hand at one time. That's what she said. All right. Put the screw in there. That's good. Gravity. Could you do me a favor? Just not exist for a minute? Thanks. Love, Lauren. Okay. Woo, so good. So just tuck that tail back into the bag. And now we've got our last 4 hardware pieces to add, but I also want to put on our little tassel pieces. I liked the look of these kind of off centered, so instead of lining them up perfectly, I just had one up a little higher. You're gonna fold it in half, push it through, and then kind of like infinity scarf, loop it through and pull. So it's tight around the pole. And see, I even cut those shorter and they're still little dangly babes. It's not a bad thing at all. I'm just like the noise, you know? Oh, helps if you get both pieces through. And then depending on your material, you may not want to be pulling on it too much, but this vinyl can definitely withstand it. But I just think that is such a fun addition. They're so cute. So cute. I don't know what I did. Before you do this, you're going to want to make sure that your zipper pull actually can hold, like fit the width of what you're trying to get through it. Okay, there we go. This is not that difficult. I just don't know what I did. Something got twisted weird. There we go. All better. Time for a nap. So we're going to be adding a total of 8 rivets, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the strap, and 1, 2, 3, 4 to the O-ring connector. I'm going to add my strap end first. I did use 1.5 inch O-rings and I think it looks fantastic. There is a little bit of give with where you can fold down that connector, so that's good. And we're going to add this 1 inch strap end to the top there. And you want to make sure that the right side of the strap end is facing the exterior. We're going to add our first screw. You need to eat something. Your belly hurts? Dorothy? So it's a little uneven on this side. So I'm just going to give it a little haircut so that my zipper end sits a little better. Okay, got that attached. We'll need 4 clips. So I'll be adding these rivets off camera, but I am going to finish up Hey, Dorothy. Can you pick up the strap I just dropped? Please. We're going to fold this down. Thank you, babe. Thanks. Maybe eat your snack. Maybe that'll help your belly. You don't want it. Careful. Are you okay? Okay. So now our O-rings are attached. And we can clip on our strap. Get a good look for what that looks like. And then over time, you can kind of train that little bit of slouch that the bag wants to have naturally, but I think that looks super fun. I really like it. I like the welt pocket. It's in a good spot. Easy to access your phone from. And then you can unzip here and get into those slip pockets nicely. A good amount of slip pockets, and they fit the space really well. And then you've got these pockets here on the front that are two separate pockets. And with the way it's curved, I don't think stuff would like easily fall out. But I adore this bag. I think it's a nice size. Great slouch. I like the strap being a little bit longer, but what kind of hardware you use will also make a huge difference. And then just to give you an idea of like, yeah, I think it would be a really good crossbody if you're not a fan of a strap, but you could also add a crossbody strap and the handle. So that is also an option. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit while we made this bag. We made some changes. We had some fun with it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to grab this pattern. Okay, bye. Let's go ahead and get started by cutting our zipper tape that we're going to need.
I love your Ready Beds.
I'm glad.
You actually need a bare cookie cutter.
I know, I don't have one.